All right, guys. Well, we got an update to the Abba and Preach and Ethan Klein thing going on.
Bobby Shmurda's lawyer became a member.
Thank you very much for the membership, Bobby Shmurda's lawyer. You know, since you're his lawyer, I don't know why you would only do a small guy. I'm just kidding. Thank you so much. Anyway, we got a little bit of an update to the Abba and Preach silly goosery. So a little bit of a recap. Ethan and Abba, well, Ethan declared war against Abba and Preach. Abba and Preach responded with a video that they very quickly took down. I reacted to that video as well as the revised one. People were weirdly really upset because I named it Abba and Preach's deleted response because they had originally deleted it. And people were like, no, it's still up. And I'm like, if you just watched 3 seconds of the video, you'd see it's a new response. But I also, there's a lot of Abba and Preach lately. I also put up the revised response as well. From my understanding, they put this response up, which does not paint Ethan in a positive light. There is some trickery of the perspective, but overall, it doesn't really paint Ethan in a very positive light. We'll get into the specifics as we react to the thing, but I'm pretty sure they took down the original one, Abba and Preach, because of themselves, because they didn't want, and I'll put them actually both in the description. I'll put the original reaction to the revised one, but my understanding is that they really just didn't want to go back and forth in some stupid online drama. I think that they think it's just petty and it's stupid and it's not productive and it's annoyingly unnecessarily stressful regardless of who wins. I think that's really what it boils down to, and I can respect the decision. I also understand why Ethan would respond, but I think that's what it's about. And so their second video is actually very good and it had a really positive conversation and I enjoyed it, and you know, I can respect that. So now we're going to react to Ethan's reaction of Abba and Preach's reaction to Ethan's reaction. Let's say what Ethan has to say about Abba and Preach's original video.
Let me talk about Dumb and Dumber.
Okay.
I've held my tongue.
Great movie.
Let me just talk.
You really didn't hold your tongue, but okay.
Of course, I'm talking about Babel and Preach, Dumb and Dumber.
All right, well, let me...
Oh, thank you so much, by the way, Sam, for the 4-month sub. I love you, long time Papa and friends. Thank you. I love you too.
Now, guys, before I know a lot of you guys don't want to hear it, and I get that, but just stay with me. It's going to be fast. I mean, these guys.
Okay.
When someone goes publicly and says shit about you, that like you're doing blackface, you're kind of obligated to respond, and I've learned that the hard way, right?
Sure. Okay.
Now, obviously, some stuff is, you know, I did that shit, right?
Sure, yeah.
But other stuff's kind of crazy how they're reaching. So bear with me, please. Okay. Now hold on, the timer didn't start.
You definitely started.
No, I'm setting it up.
You're wasting time right now.
No, Dan, stop the timer.
He's flaring up
How is
right
that
now.
not you talking?
Okay, wait. I wanted to do a
comment?
bit. Stop the timer. Okay, I wanted to do it. I forgot to tell Zach. So I'm going to talk about something else, Zach, and then you play the squeaking sound.
Got it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
anyway, did you guys see that Jack in the Box used my sound?
What?
Crazy, huh?
So famous.
Wait. Oh, no, not the squeaking. I don't want to talk about them.
Oh, this is the bit. We're in the bit now?
I don't want to talk about Babel and Reach, but why are they always showing up at this time?
This is such a stupid bit. This bit would have been terrible without him setting up the bit as a bit. So dumb. Jesus Christ.
I get it.
I snorted.
Okay, all right, fine. I'll talk about it. That was the bit.
Okay.
Please clap.
Oh, the video's not on the overlay. Wow, that's incredible stuff.
I think we have to restart the timer.
And now
pretend that it was. Pretend that it was for the past minute. Nothing. You didn't miss anything.
At this point, we're definitely going to need you to restart the timer.
Shut up.
Serious?
I've pledged to keep it under 10 minutes.
Shut up.
Dan, you got to be fair to me. Okay, don't be a hater.
I got it. I figured it out. Shut up.
I couldn't properly re-upload these. I mean, I couldn't.
I figured you guys would have preferred to see the chat in my World of Warcraft game, but like obviously you guys are losers. So.
Timestamped them, so I think you should have a couple more minutes. I'm just saying.
What
right.
are you talking about?
I'm just saying.
What are you saying?
He's right.
Just a couple.
Because hold on.
What does that matter?
Hold on. They erased the video because they're cowards and losers.
I don't think that's why. I mean, listen, that's fine if that's Ethan's perspective, right? They don't like each other, so I get the least positive response. But I think it really is because they just don't want to go back and forth between the bullshit drama. I don't think it's worth it to them. Because here's the reality. It doesn't matter who you think is right in this situation. We both know that them engaging in a petty back and forth war will make both of them look good to their own audiences, right? So Abba and Preach removing it isn't because they got dunked on in some capacity. They would have had no negative impact on them or their audience or their fame or their career. If anything, it'd probably have like a positive impact because they get to be more in the public flow, I guess you would say. But they removed it because I just don't think that they think it's worth it. And I kind of get that. I mean, like, you want to be in a war with Ethan Klein? You know what I mean? Like, oh my lord, boring. Am I right? So I think that's really what it is. So yeah.
They can't like stand behind anything they say. They're such
sure.
losers.
Losers.
Saying.
Dumb and dumber over there, man.
Losers.
Squeaky and Babylon Squeaks.
Yeah, got him. Really got him.
The more I watch Babylon Squeak, I realize how much Reach has in common with Coconuts and Barbados. Like they are so similar.
Cool.
So anyway, yeah, they uploaded a video about me
What's supposed to do there?
that they erased after a few hours, and I'm here. They show. So they says H3 loves black people.
Yeah.
And
don't you?
half the video, their response to our 4-hour podcast, 3.5-hour podcast, is basically to just call me racist. They literally didn't respond to anything I said, which is exactly what I predicted they would do. Just
my question is that by the time this is up, Ethan knows that they have another response. Like, so does he talk about that one as well, or does he just go into this one? Because in the same way where you could probably make that argument that they don't respond to anything. Also, but like, did you react to the second one they put up, or are you just going to do this one? Because then that you could argue that that's also dishonest if you're going to intentionally ignore the one that they put up, because I thought it was pretty decent. From what I remember, I thought it was pretty decent.
straight up straw man, argue about something that I wasn't even ever talking about. But here's what they're doing straight off the bat. This is a charcoal mask.
Yeah.
Now, I always see like unhinged haters trying to say it's blackface, but there really are horrible stuff I've said and done. I don't see why y'all need to put like this dumb fake blackface thing. Like, I don't see why y'all need to make that some kind of point.
I don't know. I guess it was for the clickbait in the title. I think it's just clickbait. You think you know what clickbait is? I think that's the only. But okay.
It's literally a charcoal mask. Like,
okay.
Why are they acting so social justice warrior? By the way,
I guess.
A trigger warning to Babylon Reach.
You know, you could argue that they're just trying to dunk on Ethan, but I think part of it, something to keep in mind, is that, like, as somebody who's done racist things in the past, and myself included, I'm not, and you're not, and none of us are entitled to forgiveness from black people. Like, I just want you guys to know. So, like, you know, if a black content creator doesn't like me because I've said some, like, crazy shit in the past, and frankly, I've never done anything as wild as Ethan, but if you don't like me for that, that's okay. And I think it's okay. Now, you can question their motives. You might be like, well, I don't think Abin Reach really care. I think they're just doing it to dunk on Ethan. You might be right. But I also think that we really need to come into the understanding that, like, it's possible that Abin Reach also just don't like what Ethan did because they're black and they find it offensive that there was ever a point where, you know, their comfortability and validity as people was ever questioned by, you know, white people brazenly using the N-word on the internet. Now, they also might just not care, but I think it's something to keep in mind a little bit. Like, you can't expect them to be like, oh, just kind of get over it. This is stuff in the past. I apologize, bro. You know, it's like, okay, maybe some people don't accept it. You know, well, okay.
Reach charcoal mask. I'm typing.
I just look stupid.
No, you look stupid.
Ooh, got him.
You made me defend this dude.
Okay, guys, trigger warning to Babylon Reach. This is charcoal masks. These guys talk about sensitivity.
Why did he have a charcoal mask? Wasn't he? And I could be wrong, but didn't he have a video talking about like whiteface or something? Was that why he did the charcoal mask? Or wasn't it part of a racial joke? I mean, whatever. I guess I just don't really remember. It's been such a long time ago. I could just be wrong about that, but that's my understanding. Whatever.
My God, I mean,
when did Ethan say the N-word? Bro, when doesn't he? He used to, like, defend it, right? The N-word F-slur thing was, like, a big thing for him. He liked, you know, him and iDubbbz were... They were really into Paris. They really were... they were on a roll talking about people that were in Paris, you know what I mean? It's crazy. They were on that Kanye West grind, baby. They used to say that shit all the time. Did I call them Abba and Reach? I meant Preach, bro. I didn't mean Abba and Reach, bro. Come on, stop. Reach isn't even that tall. His fucking, like, his arm length isn't even long enough to reach anything.
It's just charcoal. So they're doing that. Also, I think they're trying to say something about Jeff's haircut on me being racist.
I think that they're
People were
just.
theorizing.
I think they're just. Nobody's theorizing that. They're just trying to make you look stupid. That's the whole point of that. That's not because that's racist, but okay.
But I just have curly hair. I don't know what to tell you guys.
I gotta explain that shit.
So anyway, let's get into the response. Now, it was like 24 minutes long. I'm not going to respond to the whole thing because the whole thing is pretty much just silly bullshit and them not responding.
Isn't it? Wait, hold on. The Black Challenge. It is racist, no? It's called the Black Challenge. Isn't this about a black? It's about a race thing, no?
Actual product from China.
Or maybe they just clickbaited it to make it seem racial.
Of my fucking.
Maybe not. I could be 100% wrong. It's called the Black Challenge. This seems like it's racial in there. From 6 years ago. Jesus Christ. So I'm just saying. But okay, all right. I think that maybe it was meant to be a little bit of a joke, but that seems to be part of it. That seems to be a part of it.
So let's see. There is a moment
I don't think it's
at
just a charcoal mask.
12:40 where they have this great moment.
Okay.
When Olivia was popping off, and they played sad violin over her.
Oh no.
Really classy. And again,
well, the context of it was you guys pushed a false sexual assault allegation against the scumfuck Myron, so that's why they put the violin over it. They didn't really respond. They didn't do a good job of displaying their perspective to anybody who didn't agree with them. I'll give you that. But that's what that was.
Just a classic response. You know what I mean?
At this point, I'm not going to go through the whole thing every single time we talk about it. I'll go find my original video on the topic, but like I'm not going to qualify it every single time we talk about that. So if you really are interested, you can do that, and if you're not, then shut up.
If you think that's crazy, listen to her with sad violin over her. Women be trying to ruin men's lives. It's just what they do.
I'm gonna go out of my way to lie.
I don't like him, so I'm just gonna go lie about him assaulting me.
That is such an insanely hurtful thing to say about any woman ever. It's a very humiliating experience to go through something like that, and for anyone.
I haven't even seen this.
This was honestly insane.
Didn't Ethan do the same thing to somebody recently? Didn't he do that to some girl that got deepfaked? No, like how is he gonna call this insane? This is in his wheelhouse of humor. No, right? Like, that's one of the things that gets me a little bit. That's what kind of I think this is a video. That's the thing that kind of gets me a little bit. Is that like the understanding that Ethan has a flawed past, but he's still so aggressively negative about everybody else's journey. He did a cutie Cinderella. That's the thing that really bothers me about Ethan. It makes me feel like he doesn't care. It's like he'll be like, oh, wow, what a horrible thing to do. But he'll do the same thing to people. And then he'll be like, wow, you can't believe you did that. You just did that like 2 months ago. Like, you know what I mean? So like, I don't understand. Like, he comes off as like such a little fucking penis picklehead, you know? Like he comes off as so like holier than thou, but you do the same shit, man. Like, you know what I mean? You should be affording the same liberties that you would ask people to afford you when you do something wrong. Does that not make any sense?
Watch this. My jaw just dropped. I was like, are you all trying to prove everything I said right?
That's so, it's just, first of all, I am so much younger than they are. It's really embarrassing that they're participating in this discourse specifically.
Why is that? What does that mean? What does your age have to do with it? Are you saying that they're too mature for the conversation? What is, if you believe she's right, that's fine. What does that mean that you're young? What does that mean? Well, I don't know. Should they not treat you like a person? Should they treat you like a stupid little baby that doesn't have the ability to talk? I don't understand why her age is relevant to anything. Okay, cool.
But if they can put out a million videos being like, no, I can speak from my perspective because like people I know have been falsely, like if you think that you have stance in this conversation, so do I. Okay, so I can talk about what it's like, and I'm not gonna.
Yeah, but what does that have to do with anything? Like, you should be able to talk about what you like. That's great. I think you should. What does that mean? What does that have to do with your age or them playing a sad violin over what you said? Does that make it so that You still said what you said. They didn't say women shouldn't be able to speak. Well, I don't understand what your point is here.
Play violin under whatever fucking story you're gonna tell, but
No, of course not. Because we listen on this show. To be totally fair, we don't engage. When I did that fucking podcast, we didn't engage in these silly arguments and like avoiding stuff. Like we actually talked about things. Which
and you lied about most of what you said. It was a joke. I watched the whole thing. It was pretty. You didn't really address much of anything. You just kind of sat back on some pretty weak arguments. But okay,
incapable of doing because they're dumb and dumber. I mean, they really are.
Real quick. First, golf queen. Second, Dan didn't pause the timer when she was talking.
Dan, stop the timer. Stop the timer.
It was 10
Stop it. Okay, we need to have a sidebar.
Okay.
Now, if Olivia's talking, and she has every right to, Dan, that should not sap me of my 10 minutes to discuss this.
Are you trying to silence her, Dan?
If you don't know who Olivia is, she's the
trying
loser
to silence
feminist
me, Dan?
researcher who spends all her day on Reddit boards and thinks that's her research, okay?
Is that you, Dan? Is that what
That's
you think
my
about
research.
Olivia?
is that
You know what? I'm
not.
starting
Is that
to
what you
agree
think about
with
me?
Rich Lux, I gotta say.
Dan is jealous of me?
All right, so
I guess no. I understand.
So
You're all saying that what Olivia has to say isn't worth any time. That's what all of you are saying. I respect
didn't
what
say that.
Olivia has to say. It
I
seems
say
like
you-
it's valuable enough to be
I'm
included
saying-
in the conversation.
Didn't
But
say
since
that.
all of you think that Olivia
No. I'm
isn't
saying
worth the time,
I'm saying a man shouldn't be allowed to allocate some time to her. She could have as much
she
time
can only
as she
speak
needs.
when you say, Dan.
Yeah, right, Dan?
No,
Gotcha.
I didn't
All
interrupt
right,
her.
stop.
I didn't interrupt her.
Stop. Let's stay
I
focused.
didn't interrupt her.
We're staying focused. Dan, you know in football they have overtime or the extra time? That's what we're doing.
That's
so
right,
now.
football, soccer. Yes, they do.
Wow, you a bitch.
Okay, so now the timer's being increased to 12.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's just logical. So you can go ahead, but we got extra minutes on the clock. Okay, and especially your grandstanding, you should get extra time for that too.
Thank you for the time.
All right, so here we go. I can't stand Dan.
Dan is jealous of me?
Dan is jealous of me.
I love him so much for that.
Dan, block me.
All right. So here.
Well, Dan did block him. My wife's in the chat. Why did you block me too, Dan? Because he blocked me on my main channel as well. Probably because I talked about how they had a bad perspective on the girl coming on that podcast, and Ethan constantly saying it was sexual assault.
Here it is.
That like someone
let's
claiming...
just keep in mind. Let's just keep in mind, Myron is a rape apologist. Okay, he tells women who've been sexually assaulted that they should have chose better men. He's a scum loser, and he's not a real man. But also in this case, based on everything that we've seen, it seems like what it really seems like is that girl just came on to talk about a bad date in a way that framed her as like the one that was like cool. She's like, yeah, I wasn't interested, blah blah blah. I was like a cope, and then Ethan's like, that sounds like sexual assault. And she was talking about how she was never interested, she didn't want to engage with them at all, and then we looked at the text messages that were shown, and it was very clear that there was a mutual interest there, right? So it debunks a lot of her framing on the narrative. But yeah, Ethan kept saying that he's like, oh well, fresh or whatever only engages in coercive sex, it's sexual assault, blah 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 blah. I love that this is the discourse on the computer.
Being a victim or surviving something is them like wanting to boost their ego.
Once again, their trademark. We're gonna laugh instead of actually making a substantive.
Well, it's also
Well, they made the argument like multiple times about the fresh and fit thing. So like at this point, like there's nothing to really, I would say. But again, I think they bring it up in their next video. Hopefully you watch that one too.
I'm keeping in mind that they're not like.
I think what Olivia was saying, how she was assaulted and how she was right to talk about it. Okay, yeah, I don't think that she was talking about that she was assaulted when she was first talking about it, and they Amber Hearded her. It was a little silly and immature, but
Amber Heard was added after. They're just laughing at me. They weren't looking at Amber Heard when they were giggling. They're not giggling at their joke they made. They're giggling at literally me talking.
I think you didn't hear close enough. Did you hear what the floor said?
Oh no, what
let's
you
hear.
say?
this is so boring. Holy fuck.
No, in the video, you'd like.
Oh yeah. She said hello.
So Reach is shaking his finger at Babel. Let's get a glimpse into his inner thoughts. Right.
Okay.
That is interesting. I didn't consider that. So I think their point is they're like, oh, well, Amber Heard lied about stuff, so therefore all women are like, let's not trust anyone ever. Like,
That's
we never
not their
said
point.
that people don't lie. You know what I mean? It's weird. You guys,
Also, just why are we bringing up?
Right, but like you didn't address that she did lie, right? About her framing of the entire situation. You didn't look at like Fresh and Fit's podcast, and I understand not liking them, but so like that's the point that they're making is that she lied, and you never did your due diligence to look at that because you're not interested in like the actual truth. That's their point. They made like 8 times, and you guys just haven't responded to it. So.
Other women and starting new conversations. Let's talk about this and let's stop laughing at me because it's so ridiculous.
It's so triggering.
Thank you.
Guys.
Play the thing.
Show is so incredibly wrong and uninformed that like you 1,000,000% should not be making content about this, because you're teaching young men who don't know anything about this, and then you're telling young women to not talk to each other, to not talk to anyone, to not tell anyone that something happened, because idiots like you.
And you know what?
But again, this was over a false sexual assault report, so that you guys don't seem to be aware of that. So yeah. And those when you constantly push false accusations like Ethan did when he continuously said that it was coercive sex, which is rape, you're teaching young men that people lie all the time. When you push a lie as the truth, people see that it's a lie, and they start thinking that all accusations are lies. So in this way that you think that they're invalidating the narrative you are with this overall lie, and you can't cope with the fact that you lied or that you got it wrong, and you're just doubling down and trying to play like moral authority. But what you're doing is you're teaching young men that like even if something's consensual, that people will just lie about it. This was a false accusation. So yeah, just let's keep that in mind on the narrative here as they do that in the podcast. Like, well, we never said it was sexual assault, but also that it was. But then nobody never said that it was. But it is. But you guys aren't even confident in your own perspective. So yeah.
Of that, they played your whole statement, which was poignant.
I do hear what I said, and I still agree with it.
They don't respond.
Okay, cool.
Right. They actually don't even respond to it. And that's the consistent thing you'll notice through this.
No, they did respond. They said, "That's so funny."
Oh, this is so fucking dumb.
I'll play it from here because it's all pretty good from here. This is all just like Ethan's racist compilation. Okay. And the thing, so in that compilation, like the majority of it is the PewDiePie N-word controversy.
Yeah, that's when like you used to say the N-word religiously, and then you went after PewDiePie in this like incredibly like and a negative energy towards him for doing something wrong, despite the fact that you used to do that intentionally all the time. And that's why people criticize you for that. And that's the problem with Ethan, is that he has this weird proportionality of punishment for other people, but he expects so much charitability. When it comes to him doing anything in the past, it's like, well, I said sorry, so please forgive me. But when it comes to somebody else doing a bad thing, it's like, wow, this person is a really shitty person and doesn't deserve any charitability. And it makes it seem like it just doesn't make sense that somebody with a flawed past wouldn't have empathy for someone else with a flawed past. It doesn't make you think you'd have like empathy for somebody saying something ignorant and being like, well, they probably didn't mean, maybe they didn't mean it like that, and we should kind of like talk to them more about it. So,
see, when I had iDubbbz on, and obviously you can. This isn't about Babble and Reach, so you could pause the timer. Yeah, this isn't about Babble and Reach.
No,
how is this not about? This is about their video.
No. It's about the PewDiePie iDubbbz thing.
Yeah, iDubbbz wasn't involved in that.
No, so the reason because iDubbbz came on the show a long time ago. His catchphrase was at the time N-word, F-word, as he discussed in his recent apology video. And at the time, I was like, how do you get away with saying this word?
And then you're like, I love saying this word. You said that. I love saying N-word. It was you too.
And then I said it, which was obviously incredibly dumb and wrong and horrible.
You said it with confidence, and you liked it.
I love that the framing was, how do you get away with that? We're now responsible.
Yeah,
you said the word I love. What are you talking about? Wait, what? What? I could have swore he says that he loves saying it. No, let me see something. I'm gonna mute the audio. He says he loves the words. It's a beautiful string of words, and he loves that he gets to say it. I listened to it. I'm not playing it on my stream because I don't want to get a problem because this video is uncensored. You said you loved saying it. This seems like he's walking it back. What?
My
I love that the framing was, how do you get away with that? We're now responsible.
Yeah, he could. Well,
the answer was he doesn't, and neither do you. So there you go.
No, see, this is the problem with Ethan. He can't be this stupid. I think it's intentional. I just listened to him talk about how much he loved using the words. They were a beautiful arraignment of words. It was like an amazing cornucopia on a 20-man Thanksgiving feast. Those aren't the words he said. This is the problem I have, is that Ethan doesn't even really acknowledge his flawed past. When you look at iDubbbz's apology, whether you think it was disproportionate or not, it's genuine. There's a lot of feeling and emotion and a lot of regret in what he says and he does, and his growth is very apparent in the way that he talks. With Ethan, it's a constant downplay of like, yeah, that was really iDubbbz's word, and I was just kind of like, how do you get away with that? But it wasn't. It was like, oh, I love saying these words. I love it. That's what he says. Just look it up. Look up Ethan Klein and then the N word and then the F slur, but spell them out on Google. He says it. So just be honest. Like, yeah, I did some horrible shit. Listen, we've all been there. If you're white, at least, right? This is the biggest white. This is the biggest way that white people are victims, is that we're victims of saying bad words in the past. So you're lying, or you just don't. Because I can't imagine you don't remember this.
And I said it a lot because I was like, "Oh, I'm saying this word. I'm saying this word."
Yeah, you
so
loved
when they put
saying
together
it.
compilation.
You
it looks
loved
like,
saying the word, is what you said.
it's all from the same instance in that case. Doesn't make it better. I'm just saying like
You're underplaying it. So you've.
Am I really not counting?
No, this no. This is a different topic. You know.
Okay.
But some of the stuff in their compilation is actually super fucked up.
Like that
They
one,
took,
yeah.
When I was doing
That
the
was pretty
members
fucked up
live
either.
yesterday, someone was like, "What was the deal with the Oonga Boonga one? That one seems super fucked up." And I was like, "I don't remember saying that. I'll have to go back and watch."
Yeah, on that one, like Abba and Preach did push that as if Ethan said that unironically. They did in the little caption. They said it said like pulled for, Ethan reading a comment, but it didn't give the context that he was reading like a racist comment, and it was in the framing that like what it was bad. That the racism is bad. That was Ethan's perspective. Hot take, right? So they did inaccurately portray him there, and I will give them that 1,000% on that one. You know, but even, you know, I personally don't think that you should even be saying it within that context, at least not publicly, especially. I think it's pretty fucked. But they did him dirty with that one. Sure, I'll give him that one for sure. Okay.
And what they did is they cut out me reading.
We're definitely talking about them. I mean, you're literally referring to them, right?
Okay, at this point,
Okay,
it's
so I
this
just
part
wanted
is
to
fair. What they literally did was cut out me reading super racist comments on the Joey Salads video that I criticized.
Yeah.
That was one of the first times.
Yeah, and the Joey Salads video is where Joey Salads was apparently paying black people to attack a card that said like Trump 2020, whatever, 2016 or whatever, to make it seem like black people were violent and always destroyed things, right? So Ethan was in the right there. Yeah. So hold on, I just got to get out of this place.
That I really alienated myself from my audience to call out Joey Salads for doing the super racist, super
that didn't alienate yourself from your audience. What are you talking about? That's a lie.
Fake from I criticized. That was one of the first times that I really alienated myself from my audience to call out Joey Salads for doing the super racist, super fake prank where he put a Trump card in the hood. And then all of a sudden, like 10 black dudes just come out like a Street Fighter bonus round and start breaking it.
With her boob coming out?
And I was like, this is so racist and so obviously fake. And a lot of the fans got super angry about it. And I looked at the comments on Joey's video.
Is that true? Because I loved that video. I remember actively watching that video. Which video are we talking about? The how pranksters are ruining society?
As you can see from...
Was there really a lot of backlash on this one in the comments? Part of me doesn't believe that. H3H, this is one of the top comments. H3, well, as a fellow black man, I always did carry a 10-foot pole. H3H3 isn't the hero YouTube deserves. He's the hero YouTube needs. God, I love you, Ethan. If Ethan made this video today, people would say, why is Ethan being so leftist woke? I miss the old H3. I guess. Okay, that's recent. Thanks for being a hero. There isn't a single negative comment against Ethan here. Maybe I'm wrong, but this seems like Ethan is trying to say falsely that he alienated himself from his audience to try to make his audience look more racist when most people disagreed with this. Most people agreed with Ethan on that. What is he talking about that? I don't think that made his audience upset. I think people liked that a lot. They thought that was a pretty good video. Ethan, this isn't working. This is ridiculous.
I was like, look how fucked up this is. I was reading the super racist comments. A lot of them had N-word, and you know, obviously, again, I shouldn't have said that. It's fucked up that I said that.
Even in this one where he's being so like, where he's right, he manages to make himself look like a victim. Nobody was against you on that. Everybody like agreed with you. I think that like Ethan definitely had the negative impact of making people feel too comfortable saying slurs. I would agree with that for sure. But I don't think that most people watched him were like, I like being actively racist. It was more of that ignorance racism. And now he's trying to say that his audience hated that. I don't think that that's true. It seems like most people were. Can somebody give me the ratio of likes to
as you can see from this
on this video? Somebody mentioned it in the chat because I don't have the download and I'm old. I don't know how to do it. I don't have the thing. But like he's either delusional or lying here, which I don't really understand that. It's so weird. He's trying to make it seem like he was so brave for going against what his audience would have wanted when like they were all on board with it. They were like, yeah, I agree with you, Ethan. This is super fucking racist. You're 1,000% correct. But okay.
But for them to cut that out and then make it seem like I said it is crazy. Because listen, I've done and said things that are fucked up. You don't even need to make it up. I don't know why y'all are trying so hard. And it's fucked up, right? I mean, in that case, I was actually calling out racist Joey Salads. And the commenters.
The video, like he had paid those people to come break the car or whatever, and then just lied.
He paid them to come? Can I get paid for that?
Oh, this just happened now.
You know, I got to get my cum tested because my wife and I want to have babies, and it's part of our fertility thing. And you know that they have no reference at the baby place for me to do that. It's really weird. It's actually pissing me off. I got to go there and yell at them tomorrow. Not yell at them, but I'm gonna be like, hey, can you give me a reference? Because like we don't have one. How? You guys are a baby making facility, you know?
Naturally,
right.
Yeah,
288,000 likes to 3.3 thousand dislikes. What percentage is that? Like, that's good. His audience did not give him backlash. He's such a fucking weird liar. He's so weird. I don't get it. He's a fucking weird liar, dude. I'm so apprehensive about people who like make up these like weird baby lies. Like, what's the fucking? You're so weird, man. Like, why lie? Why lie about it? Downplaying like your usage of the N-word by like, oh, it was kind of iDubbbz, and I was just saying like, how do you get away with it when you were saying you loved using it, which is something I still think can be forgivable. You know, as a white man, I have the ability to forgive people for that. But all jokes aside, which is like whatever, I get it. And then this one, oh, I went against my fans. It's like, no, you didn't. Your fans didn't hate you for that when they thought you were fucking awesome in bass. I don't think that he perceives himself as like more racist than he was. Like there were definitely issues, but like he acts like it was this huge fucking thing. I wonder if like, I don't know. I wonder how similar iDubbbz was to that, where like he wasn't as racist as he thought, but he's honing in on like some of the racist stuff and like thinking it's worse than it is. But Ethan's just actively lying at this point. So
and then,
fucking insane.
and then someone who was in an apartment building overlooking it. You can stop the timer. Someone was in an apartment building overlooking, filmed them setting it up.
Wow.
And then I was like, I fucking told you guys this was fake, you racist pieces of shit. And they clipped me talking about that to make it seem like I was saying horribly racist things, which is really fucked up of them, frankly.
Yeah, you said,
and they did that a few times. Now, my theory at the time, which was fucking insane.
Well, why aren't you just playing the whole video? Like you're kind of like jumping around a little bit. Didn't you criticize someone for doing that?
And wrong is that if I'm not using the word in a malicious way, if I'm not using it as an insult, if I'm just talking about the word,
okay,
then I can say it.
Sure.
And obviously, that was super ignorant. And not something I would ever do today, but
okay,
it's super fucked up, you know.
Only when I'm singing Childish Gambino, am I right?
And so, I'm not even mad that they rolled the clip because I said those things, I did those things, and I'm happy to own it. I'm happy to talk about it as many times as I need to explain.
Well, what about in that video? They didn't really talk about it too much, but what about you going after Patrice Williams and calling him a pedophile and ruining his entire life and making it so he could never make another, he couldn't work anymore because people would look up his name and he would get blacklisted because you said he was a pedophile so many times, and you said, LOL, it's just a joke, because, that's a funny joke, is calling people pedophiles, like LOL, am I right? What about that? It wasn't really brought up very specifically in that Ethan video, but it is a factor. It's something to keep in mind, I think. Just being the silly goose I am, I think it's something that you should keep in mind. It's incredible stuff.
How I fucked up, right? and how I'm sorry for what happened. Right? I'm not trying to hide from it. I'm just being straight up. Like, yeah, I said those things. So I'll talk about it as many times as I need to. Right? That was me fucking up. And a lot of them are, and and here's me trying to evolve into a better person, right?
Sure.
And so it's super underhanded of them to pull shit that I didn't even fucking say. That just really is sad.
Dude.
Obviously, I'm not going to play the mega compilation because I'm sure we'll get demonetized. Right?
I chimed in with the haven't people ever heard of.
But I just wanted to touch on that. And it's the same thing with saying I did blackface. It's like, come on, guys, just stick to the facts.
Well, that video was you were at least invoking a bit of edgy racism. It was called the Black Challenge. You named the video the Black Challenge. That was a racial thing, and I don't think they were trying to be racist. I'm just saying, like, don't pretend. Well, that on top of that, it's really just them clickbaiting you. But you called it the Black Challenge. You were trying to invoke a little bit of LOL racism. So let's not pretend. All right, let's not pretend. Let's be a little normal here, okay?
Because the facts are bad enough. You know what I mean? They're bad. I admit that, man. It looks bad.
Racism?
As I'm not even mad about. I can't even complain that they
is a bad
did
thing.
it.
You should not be
frankly,
racist.
because that's what happened. You know what I mean? But it's
Closing
not,
the
by the way,
goddamn door.
a response to my criticism. It's not to say, well, you're racist.
I chimed in with the haven't you people ever heard
that's
of?
Why your opinion is invalid.
Closing the goddamn door.
What's the leading theory for why they took it down?
Okay, so
the leading theory is that they didn't want to engage in petty bullshit drama, and not to be an asshole, but like I talked to Abba about it. Like I'm not going to talk about all the specifics, but he's just, and I believe him. I believe that it's just like it's stupid. They don't like they said it in their first video that they don't want to engage in petty drama when Ethan did the call to war. They said it was goofy and cringe and that, and then they made that video and then they pulled it down recently, somewhat after, because I think that it wasn't worth it because it's a stupid thing to engage in. I believe it. You could disagree with it. That's what I believe. And since I'm always right, then that's what it is. That's what I believe. So there.
Moved it. Yeah. I have a few theories.
Ethan being a picklehead is
well, here, let me go on and then we'll theorize. Because one of my theories... Oh, yeah, and here, dude, look at this. When I was reading the Joey Salads comment that I was talking about, they isolated the audio from the video and made it seem like some found footage, made it sound grainy and stuff, so to obscure from where it came, and me with the charcoal mask, to make it seem so much worse, too. Like this is somebody who maliciously, intentionally...
That's true. He's right. This Ethan blackface thing is killing me, though.
Knowingly cut this clip out of a video where I was criticizing racist people and put it in to depict the opposite.
That's true. That is true.
That's crazy.
He's not wrong about that.
It's from a video. Why just pull the audio? You know what I mean? It's fucked up. So... if that video is public still, I mean, you can find it.
I could draw your attention to that.
Yeah. Well, he removed that audio, justifiably so, I think. Maybe he left it in back then. He might have went back and be like, it's a little too edgy for nowadays, so I can understand that.
Screen with the timer on.
Well, I have 12 minutes, so chill. Okay?
Chill.
At 18 minutes, there's another one.
Flaring up right now.
Yeah, okay, stop. They start making fun of my Tourette's, which is pretty wild.
Whenever you have it.
Yeah, that one was a little shitty, too, for sure. They did make fun of his Tourette's. He's right about that one. It was like weird. I think that they said it, that he tried to walk it back though. They're like, no, I don't think there's a problem with your Tourette's. It's just that like you get like so stressed. I can tell you're stressed because you're and which is true. When I get stressed, my tics go off more too. But I was just like, why have this in here? It was just so weird. But okay.
Said that, but because.
Especially since it wasn't like a live video. If it's one thing, it's a live video. You say some dumbass shit out of pocket, but I feel like why leave that in there?
Ethan's gonna Ethan. We got
Zaddy chill.
You have the tape.
I don't know how. It's not that hard to understand the difference between sex and gender.
Sex and gender
are two different things. Are you guys listening?
Yeah, you can't. I don't gender my wife. I actually do. I call her a woman. That's her preferred gender. Except when she puts the strap on. I'm just kidding. I don't know if I could let her do it. We've talked. I don't know. It's too emasculating for me. I don't know if I could do it. You know what I mean? That's fucking wild. The fact that I'm even talking about it like this, it's just like a weird thing I'm doing right now. Let's move on.
I'll explain it.
Sex and gender.
Sex is your biological.
1 minute warning.
Stop the timer.
Sex is.
I'm talking about sex and gender. What's that got to do with them?
This is their video.
No, this is my video.
We're watching their video.
Nope, this is my video.
This is the deleted video.
I don't see them. All I
Well,
see
the
is
timer
me.
stopped.
What?
Thank you.
I just look stupid.
Gender assigned at birth.
Okay.
I'm breaking your Tourette's. I don't give a fuck. Tourette happened.
Can you pull up? He has Tourette's. I don't give a fuck.
Sure. I mean, that?
Whenever you're more.
Like, they didn't get a strike for this, right?
No, it said, okay. It says it was removed by user. Clearly, I mean, here I have the.
They've
image.
like gotten a warning from their YouTube rep or something, like, hey, you got to pull this down.
I don't
I just
think
don't
so.
get.
My guess would have been one of these two moments: the Olivia Amber Heard or
This
maybe
one
Tourette's.
seems more
I mean, maybe that is part of it.
because, like, I know YouTube's policy, like being like, oh, he has a disability. I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna make fun of it. Like
Yeah.
that's like definitely
In terms of
TOS,
policy,
right?
this one for sure. Yeah.
Right, so-
Public
In-
opinion.
In my experience, as someone who's got a ton of strikes, they just give you the strike. They don't be like, yo,
don't get
take
a
this
heads up.
down.
Mm.
But can you send me the screenshot?
Maybe it's part of their reparations package that they give more benefit of the doubt to black creators, man. Like, I don't know. But if that's the truth, fight the power, baby. You know? Whatever. If that's all it takes to if that's all the reparations we got to give, I'm down for it, brother. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore.
And the part that's fucked up is that, like, if you go to the comment section of this video,
that white
which is
pea?
erased, or their second video, which is dumb and pointless, it's just pure anti-Semitism. Like 50% anti-Semitism.
Wait, what is that? What's that?
Comment section of this video, which is erased, or their second video, which is dumb and pointless.
It's all. And if you think their second, I don't like that. Like, their second video isn't dumb and pointless. Why not watch that one too? I feel like that should be part of the response to watch everything. I get why they're watching the deleted one, but you should watch that too. But 50% of it is anti-Semitism? Really? I mean, maybe. I never look at the comment section. This is just have to do with them, whatever. I know the difference between translation, transparent, centrist, I believe is nuance. I don't think this. Okay, well, where's the anti-Semitism? I love that Coconuts had pre-planned a defense to prove that he isn't as stupid as hell. And okay, I don't care about that. It's kind of crazy how people who claim that they try to make society a better place are really just about their egos. If you really believe something, you should. Where's the anti-Semitism?
It's just pure anti-Semitism.
Where?
Like 50% anti-Semitism.
Where?
And
what?
I unearthed a video. These guys are actually
wait. But he just correct me if I'm wrong. He just said that the comments are the anti-Semitic.
fucked up. But can you send me the screenshot? And the part that's fucked up is that, like, if you go to the comment section of this video, which is erased, or their second video.
So they referenced the second video. That's what we're looking at. So apparently this is...
Which is dumb and pointless. It's just pure anti-Semitism. Like,
wait, how?
50% anti-Semitism. And
I'm not seeing
I
any
unearthed the
anti-Semitic
video. These guys
comments.
are actually just deeply, deeply anti-Semitic.
Maybe.
It turns out.
But, like, that's not displayed in
which
their
I'll show you
comments,
guys
but
if you
okay.
want to see.
Sure.
That's post-timer, so we'll have to
Well, this
do a
looks
poll
cool
on
as
that.
hell, dude.
I personally find it interesting, but you guys are in the power of that.
What is this?
Do you have that screenshot? But I seen a ton of fucking
Royal bug.
like anti-Semitic comments, like Ethan pulled his special Jewish strings with YouTube. It literally says removed by user.
Okay, that's not good.
And somehow I'm being blamed for them removing the video. They're saying I copyright striked it, and they don't
Yeah, people are
explain it
making
either.
that up, which is
So they
silly.
leave it totally open for their anti-Semitic fans to just draw any psychotic.
Stop. This is such a reach. You have to look at this. Looks just like me, guys. I wish. He's trying to make it seem like they're intentionally not referencing it because they think that their fans will be anti-Semitic and attack Ethan. What are you talking about? They just didn't respond to it. They're trying to make it seem so malicious. It's so weird. These guys are. He's a little bit of a silly goose sometimes, bro. You got to admit, like, that's wild. What he's saying right now is fucking crazy. It's just fucking crazy. What he's saying right now is just weird. What?
Conclusion about why they removed it. Why wouldn't they explain it at least in their second?
I think it comes down to sometimes. I mean, like, listen, it would be nice if there was an explanation, but I think that sometimes it's a concept of, like, not really explaining yourself on everything that you do wrong. These are pretty cool, man. I'm rocking with this. I'm rocking with it. Those horns were dope.
The chat that apparently last night.
Where's the anti-Semitic
stream,
stuff,
They
though?
said they removed it because, and I'm just reading the chat here. They didn't want the smoke.
That is okay. That's a joke.
I guess
that has been going on. They say Joaquin said this on the stream, and they say D's nuts in. Or it's like a D's nuts joke.
Oh, okay.
They definitely did not say they don't want the smoke. I mean, why would they say that? Here is
oh, maybe they're making an anti-Semitic joke when they say they don't want to smoke Ethan, right? Like, that's probably what it is, you know, because of all the horrible things that happened in the Holocaust. And I can't be specific. I don't want Ethan to get rid of my channel or anything. But I'm just, I don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm just being a fucking idiot at this point. Okay.
Here is Reach not making fun of my Tourette.
Nice, I like that one.
This
Where's
could
the
be
where's the anti-Semitism, bro? Come on.
This is a good new profile picture for me. This is totally me when I'm having Tourette's. Where's the clip? You guys can't find the screenshot of
I
that?
sent. It's above the picture Cam sent.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so here's the conspiracy theories. Why did the video get taken down, WTF? He used his Israeli special attack. Ethan has friends at YouTube because he belongs to a special group that gets different rules than us.
Okay, that's anti-Semitic, but how is this 50%? This is these are comments with like 13. This has, why did it get taken down? 3 likes. H3 uses special attack and it's anti-Semitic. 19 likes. Yeah, this is at the bottom of the barrel here. It's anti-Semitic, but to say that 50% of the comments are anti-Semitic is a little bit of a reach.
Ethan has friends at YouTube because he belongs to a special group that gets different rules than us. There's a country in the Middle East full of people like Ethan. The comments are all straight anti-Semitic.
Those are very anti-Semitic. Thankfully, they have 13 likes, 19 likes, and they are not most of the comments, right? I think that's something to keep in mind. So yeah.
He's this crazy Israeli clown comedian.
Come on, Jordan. I'm not Israeli even. Every Jew's just Israeli to you. But
You're
here,
Israeli citizen.
Okay, whatever. Splitting hairs.
Jews.
Splitting hairs here. Here, this is the joke. They say, "Ayo," to everyone in the comment section writing for Abba and Preach's dick over a video of themselves. They thought should be deleted. You are doing too much. Do better, you gremlins. This guy says, so where did they admit that it was taken down? As if that is the only reason a video can be taken down. They literally called in and said it on Paquin's live stream.
Look at this
One have to
thing.
be a bit more
How
specific
cool
than
is
that.
that?
Search Paquin. Didn't bring up someone with a live stream. Can you tell me more?
Stuff.
He
This
says,
is
yeah, bro,
terrible.
just search up packing both of these nuts in your mouth. Fucking lying.
Look at that. That's so anti-Semitic with 1 like on it. It's crazy.
I thought you'd like that one, love.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
But no, where's the screenshot of it says deleted by
There's
you?
only 2 comments on the video, don't you know, Papa? Oh yeah, right. There's only 2 comments, and I'm a fucking idiot, dude. I'm literally worthless. Holy fuck! I hate myself right now.
AB, I don't see it.
nuts.
Got him.
I believe you.
No, I need to show it because someone, at least between the two of us,
What's the timer?
Someone needs to show it.
The timer's done. Okay, we're not sticking to the timer.
No, we are.
You're already a minute over.
Yeah, but
And
you
it's been
keep interrupting
paused for
me.
like last 5.
I think we should restart it.
No, you need to
And
pause
it's been
when I'm looking for
interrupting
something.
throughout.
Here is the message. Video unavailable. Video was removed by uploader.
Wow.
Okay, so it's like
50%. Wow.
they intentionally leave it open to somehow allow people just to blame me, like I did some shit.
I don't think that was their intention. That seems to be what's happening, and it is stupid. But to say that's their intention is so. You're like that's a little bit of a victim complex you got there, brother. But okay. I mean, maybe he's just paranoid.
But here they are talking about my Tourette's.
So he needs to.
So far, Ab and Preach have not said anything anti-Semitic. One of their commenters, or a couple of their commenters, did way at the bottom of their comment section. So apparently that's their fault, I guess.
Signed at birth.
I'm breaking your hand. Tourette's. I don't give a fuck. Tourette happened whenever you're more stressed. So he needs to. He's flaring up right now. Yeah, flaring up right now because it's just I gotta explain that shit.
Yeah, Reach's dumb is flaring up right now.
Jesus Christ.
He's better. You should take an.
He's
open
not
shift.
wrong, but it seems like that was supposed to be some kind of a catch because that was not a good thing. That was pretty bad. But yeah, those ticks do flare up a bit when you're a little stressed out. Crazy stuff.
Looking up in Barbados and just quiet down. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna hit it bigger, but I gotta explain that shit. Bruh, I'm not laughing at you, Tourette. I'm laughing about the fact that you're getting you look stressed right now.
Yeah, you said that shit was easy.
Now again, I don't care. People have been making fun of my Tourette's forever. I'm a public figure. It's so obvious, right? So it happens all the time. It's just ironic to me that they're going to
Is this the right
pull
thing?
all this silly, some not silly, but
Is
a lot
this it?
silly accusations of me being racist while
Is this
calling
the right
me
thing?
restarted in this video, or they said the restarted word, and he's like,
is this the rugged
imitating
dragon
my
scale?
disability.
It's not.
They always use it.
It's not.
I've seen it 3 or 4 times.
He tried to make a point. He's like, yeah, I can say restarted. What? But at the same time, if you're going to say like, oh, don't use this word against this marginalized group, and I'm not saying it's as bad, okay?
What are we
Or
talking
maybe-
about?
I'm not the authority on to say which is worse or what. Whatever. I'm not even make that comment.
Okay.
But if you're going to say restarted and make fun of my disability in the same video, that doesn't make a lot of sense. You're not.
Oh, he's talking about the R slur. Yeah, Eden's 1,000% right. That's a bigoted slur. People don't, and the reason that people don't like consider it as bad as other bigoted slurs like the N word and the F slurs because people don't really care too much about people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, especially higher support needed individuals in our society. That's just a reality of the situation. I understand that people socially accept the R slur as not as that big of a deal, but that's like, I would honestly, I always say, like, go to a group home and talk to these people. They're good people. They get very offended by the word, and it is just like fundamentally destructive to them. There is a medical history linked to that R slur. It has been used to systematically rape, abuse, torture, and neglect people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. That's just a fact. There are people that my wife still works with that can't even get, you know, vaginal examinations, routine ones, because they were assaulted. Like, this is just a real thing. It's not good, and like, it really should be cycled out of our vocabulary. I would say go look up the Jubilee video about Down syndrome, and I know everybody likes to mock it because they're a bunch of dumb little piss babies on TikTok, but it's a real thing where they talk about how it hurts them. And yeah. So, you know, I think that it's bad. I know it's bad. He used Restarted because the Black Eyed Peas song used it. Yeah, it's still wrong. If that's what he's referencing. Because I'm a disability advocate now, guys. I guess. I don't know. But here we go.
The same energy.
You want to explain? Let's hear the next one.
Restart the timer.
Do I think that saying restarted is better than saying the actual word? I don't know. Do you think that if I said a word that was very close to the N word, do you think that would be better? Probably not, because you know what you're trying to invoke in people. The argument of like, is it better? I don't know. Maybe 1% better. I don't know. But sure. Okay.
Because he made fun of my Tourette's.
From 0?
But also, to add on to that, it's funny how in the previous video...
AB's talking. Stop the timer.
Please, yeah, stop. Yeah, please.
Go ahead, AB. Speak your mind.
Sometimes, so if you could give me some runway. Yeah, also, they talk about in the previous video how you are trying to fit this narrative in the girl...
Can you just get into a group home and talk to people? I don't know. Call them. I'll call my wife. And that gets me into a group home. And I go, what's up? And the one guy really likes wrestling, so we, you know, talk about that sometimes. One time... I can't say the specifics, but I went to one of my wife's group's homes because she spilled something on her shirt or she got a bad bloody nose, and she's like, "Can you bring me a new shirt?" So I got her a new shirt, and she came to my car and changed in my car. And one of the guys from inside walked outside. He pretended to get like the mail, and he walked to the car. He's like, "What are you guys doing out here?" Like, that's funny. And I was like, okay, I can't tell you his name or anything, but I was like, all right. I said, we're just hanging out. I said, just let me know if I'm doing anything wrong, boss man. This is funny. It's just silly, bro.
Called in that, you know, you were misleading just so that it fits your narrative, whatever the hell you're saying. It's like, that's exactly what they're doing in this video with the clips they showed, you know.
This is not where I want to be, bro.
Just pure hypocrisy. Yeah. It's wild. I mean,
there's no excusing things you said, and you've acknowledged them before. You know,
of course, and like I said, I'm happy to acknowledge them as many times as I need to, because obviously, if I have fans or even people who know about me and they hear that, they're going to think that it sounds really bad, and they're right? Mm-hmm. So I should have.
I think that you should talk about it every time people prompt you to, and make sure you downplay it and lie about it as well. I think that's a really good idea. I think that you should pretend that like you weren't saying that word for fun because you thought it was a fun, and you love saying that word, those words, because that's what you were saying, to the point that even iDub said you're using that a little liberally. Remember that? I guess we forgot about that part. Make sure you say that. Make sure you pretend that when you spoke against racism, especially in the Joey Salads video back in the day, that your fans hated it, even though they thought it was great and they thought you were a great guy. Make sure you say that, you know, you got backlash from your fans. Allude to that, because we need to think that all of your fans were always racist forever, and not that maybe you were a little disproportionate. Make sure you reference it and then downplay the negativity and make yourself look like a hero to the black people for making a video that went against your racist fans to call out Joey Salads, even though everyone loved it. I think that that's what I think that's probably the best idea for you to do. Oh, this is the right boat. This is not the right boat. Are you fucking kidding me, dude? This is not the right fucking boat, you pussy.
To explain myself as many times as I need to, okay? But my problem is them lying, because the shit they pulled is like super, 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 super racist.
Oh, this is
and
the
I
right
didn't
boat.
say that.
Fuck.
Restart the timer for ableism. Cracker Smoker says.
Hey, let's go.
Are two different things. Are you guys listening? I'll explain it. Sex is your biological gender assigned at birth. There's female and male. All right, now let's go on to the other part, which I think you're having a lot of trouble with. Gender. Gender is how people express themselves.
It's so interesting because, like, in this instance, Ethan's got the right idea in mind, and God bless him, but you're acting like such a dick, right? And this isn't like a positive advocacy for trans people, because I talked about this in my video too, right? Ab and Preach are more intelligent on social issues than sometimes they might pretend to be, right? Absolutely. They might make a video that's like about fat people and they might dunk on fat people a little bit, but Abba knows the conversation very well and he understands the systemic implications and whatnot and all that stuff, right? So maybe you could just pretend that sometimes they downplay their nuanced perspective on things for clout or for sensationalization videos. Maybe you could argue that. That's fine. Yeah, this panda's kind of banging though. Kind of bad. Anyway, what was I saying? Nice. You think if you were doing like an anthropomorphic panda from the back and you grabbed their tail too hard that you'd break their spine? I think that's the point I was getting at. I have no idea what I was getting. Oh, right. My point is that like the way that you're expressing this isn't particularly good. Like there is a difference between gender and sex, but from an advocacy point of perspective, if you think you're talking to somebody who doesn't really get it, I don't really see how you kind of pretending to be like, oh, you're a fucking idiot when it comes to these topics. I don't see that helps trans people. In that case, you could probably be a little more intelligent and not slur your words as much. It might be a little bit more effective. You know, obviously gender and sex are different. Sex is what you are assigned with at birth, if you want to use that terminology, which is generally more sensitive to trans people. And gender is like, I would say like the sex of your mind. It's this separation of body and mind. And it's something a little bit more philosophical. You know, we've always been having conversations about what makes a real man or a real woman back in the past. You know, you used to not be a real man if you couldn't fight with a sword and you couldn't do this and you couldn't be that. And so we've always been talking about, you know, what a real man or a real woman is from some kind of a philosophical perspective. And I think that this aligns perfectly here as well when it comes to trans people. It makes perfect sense to me. Trans women are women, trans men are men. And, you know, it's just something that is validating, and then you can get into a deeper conversation about gender dysphoria and the proper ways to help people in society who may have different incongruencies, right? But I just wouldn't be like oh, you're a fucking idiot. You don't what's gender? Let's see. Gender is, and then you know you kind of start blowing smoke out of your head because you're a little bit confused on how to explain this concept. So.
As a social construct.
As a social construct. Hold on. Let me finish this definition.
Again, let's just laugh. Because he went on this rant about women are women, dude. I don't care if they're trans or biological or gender. I don't see a difference.
Oh, that's what he said?
So let's not engage with the conversation.
Wait, what?
Trans or let's just laugh. Because he went on this rant about women are women, dude. I don't care if they're trans or biological or gender. I don't see a difference.
So then they agree with you. So then why are you... I think they're laughing because you can't express yourself well. They're not laughing at you because you're wrong. And then you acknowledge that ABBA isn't transphobic. So then your argument would be like, hey, I feel like sometimes maybe you make content that appeals to transphobes. You could go there, but like you're admitting that he's not transphobic, so it's a little bit of a silly goose thing going on here.
So let's not engage with the conversation. Let's just
engage.
Laugh.
Turbo thrusters.
Like the point is silly.
When someone tries to look like, I'm comfortable. I'm very comfortable. Very.
Can I comment on Reach's? He has a very interesting fashion style. It's like he puts on everything in his closet at once and heads out. Like if you look at their videos, this dude just puts on everything in his fucking house.
Chat, is this racist right now?
And listen, I'm not one to criticize fashion. Because listen, I'm not the best dressed guy in the world, but
I gotta explain that shit.
You gotta be hot, man.
I kind of like his outfits. Can I just say?
Yeah,
like
I didn't say they're bad.
Aside,
it's just like
it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks like he's ready to
Party
take on
City
a
was having
riot.
a sale, bro.
He's wearing like riot gear, riot chic.
Okay, this one this fits a little weird, but usually he's got pretty.
No, you guys should definitely see how he dresses. This man is just putting on his whole damn closet, and it's awesome.
This reminds me when you're joining like a bicycle gang. They give you a prospect fake vest at first before getting an actual cut. That's what.
No, he's in hell.
They talked about. Wait, is that what they did? They talked about how it's transphobic for not wanting trans people in sports. When did they? Can you find what time they talk about that in their stream today? Because I'd like to make that part of this video.
Angels.
Prospect.
What is the concept of gender?
You're not comfortable with this shit.
Okay, brother, we are going to talk this. Okay, gender with a G or a J? Gender, you know gender. Okay, same one.
I have no idea.
If I had to take a guess, I think it is this.
You are a transgender.
I think that's what they're quoting.
They're mocking, maybe, but they're mocking you for not really expressing yourself very well on this topic.
Oh, you think they're quoting that preacher guy?
That video?
No,
that's giving them a lot of credit.
Yeah,
I don't know what they're doing.
Okay.
Maybe that's just how my brain thinks. But
yeah, no. You think in sound bites, so
that's true. I mean, I'm proud of you for spotting that. Gender is how people express themselves.
Whoa.
As a social construct. And I said it real quiet so you guys could hear.
Okay.
And on a spectrum, people identify with different genders based on how they feel and how they want to express themselves. Do you see that they're two different things?
Listen, he essentially just said gender.
So you guys still don't understand. I said it's so slow. That's what I did, and you guys even watched it. You played the.
I just don't think that there was much to understand there, Ethan. It's like it's a little bit incomprehensible, but okay.
Clip, but y'all still somehow don't get it.
Yeah.
And that's the extent of their commentary. They really are dumb. I find it interesting how Reach carries himself as some kind of intellectual. He is very dumb.
I don't think that he does that. I don't think that Reach carries himself as an intellectual. I think he's a decently smart guy. I'm not saying he's dumb. I just don't think that he walks around like I'm the biggest bird. I don't think he does that, you know. But I am the biggest bird. Incredible stuff.
I find that interesting. I don't know that he ever learned how to dress himself either. I think that could be.
What are you trying to say, Ethan? He doesn't have a dad to help him dress himself. You fucking racist.
It works out.
I knew you never changed it.
It's people that like they identify with different genders.
And it's how you feel on the day of the spectrum and how you express yourself as a gender. You guys understand?
Yeah, it's really simple.
This is why I have.
So they're trying to make it seem complicated.
Well, I think that a lot of people will say like, "Oh, that doesn't make any sense." Oh, so you feel like a certain thing, so you just. I think it's more than just a feeling for somebody who has. Who doesn't align with like the gender or the sex sign at birth is the way that you would say it nowadays. I think it's more than just a feeling. I think it's like a very strong feeling. You know what I mean? Like I may not feel particularly well today, but the concept of a gender feeling is a little bit more than like, oh, I just kind of feel like it. Like sometimes I just don't really feel like taking a shit and I take a Imodium, but that's not a particularly intense or aspiring feeling. It's more closer to like more of a concept of gender euphoria. Right, where there's gender dysphoria, which is a deep amount of distress associated with your gender and your sex not aligning in some capacity. Where gender euphoria is a deep amount of feeling of, I guess, positivity and intensity and love. I love the word love for identifying as a particular gender, and it gets more into that conversation about like a gender euphoric kind of a thing with that. And I think that's what people get confused on because when you say like, oh, that's how I feel. I think it's a downplay. It's more than just a feeling. It's like it's a feeling of euphoria, right? Which is not a bad show, by the way. You know, it's not a bad show. That's it. It's pretty good, actually. Unfortunately, I really like Mac Miller's character in there. Rest in peace, of course. But yeah,
I see. Yeah.
Pretty interesting take by them. Good, very cool counterpoint they've made.
My researchers for me, so we can come up with good answers. This is what we do. The man doxed someone on a lie.
Okay, so that was that, and then there's just one more.
Hey, they don't bring up any of the points I make. By the way, here's a point that I'm going to skip past.
Part I want to play in the beginning. They go on to continue. This is it. I promise.
You don't want to talk. You don't want to talk about that.
Continue to defend Fresh and Fit.
Oh, I guess he doesn't want to talk about the point. I find it interesting that he says he didn't bring up any points that we talked about. And then he skipped through the point that they were about to talk about the Amaranth thing. I'm going to talk about the specific. I don't think Abin Preach did a good job expressing the real issue with the Amaranth thing. Amaranth seems to have potentially an abusive husband. I say potentially because we don't know all the context, but based on what I saw, that seems like incredibly abusive behavior, right? And the priority in that situation is Amaranth. Ethan went on his live stream and they got the wrong person to dox, but it seemed like they had the intention of doxing the husband. Because they wanted to play Batman. They wanted to be like these morally righteous, virtuous individuals that do the right thing and they bully bad people. The reality, though, is that's not the way to operate there. Because if he is abusive and you antagonize him, it could just cause Amaranth to get hurt. And that prioritizes yourself and the way that you feel about the situation over Amaranth, the actual victim in the situation. And that's my biggest issue. And there is a trend of virtue bullying that is going on there. And I'm not saying he's a good person. What I'm saying is that what's the priority supposed to be? Is it the way that you feel or is it the way Amaranth feels? And he missed the mark on that one. And I think that that's very dangerous and toxic. And he did a call to action. He said that we should send poop to their house. Where do they live? Things like that. And they put somebody's address on the screen. And if it was actually the right address, they probably would have been okay with it and doubled down on it. And it's just not the right way to operate. It's wrong. It's prioritizing the wrong thing. From more of like a behavioral perspective, this is not the way to go when it comes to this type of a situation. This doesn't get to the bottom of this. This doesn't help. It's not productive. It doesn't help Amaranth. And what you should have done was just message her and be like, are you okay? And that's the problem with that situation. And if you really want to get deep into it, considering the way that he kind of talks about topics that he doesn't seem to be know too much about, it seems like he likes to just kind of be this virtuous guy that's like, oh, gender and sex, they're different, idiot. And here they're different because people feel you know, and like he kind of just stumbles and doesn't really know what he's talking about, but he likes to have information and use it to be negatively impactful on people rather than positively impactful on the individual associated with it. So based on the way that he talked about trans issues there, it seems like he's more interested in using trans issues to kind of like tell people that they're stupid and bad and dumb and transphobic rather than using them to build up trans people, which is what you're supposed to do, especially as somebody who's not trans talking about trans issues. When you talk about those issues in an affirming capacity, you're supposed to try to get through to people who don't understand, right? Because trans people are very authentic and they're very valid and they have a very real valid experience. But there are some people who are transphobic that aren't going to resonate with things that trans people are saying. They're just not going to get it. They don't have that level of empathy because they may not have something going on in their life that would be comparable, if that makes sense. And so you kind of have to do your job of showing the comparison and getting people to get on board with it. And I think that I don't know if you really care about these things, but I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just wrong.
In the funniest way possible.
If you are familiar with Ethan Klein.
Oh, so we should have mac and cheese with cut up hot dogs in it. Cool.
And then I'm done.
Podcast with his wife, Hassan Piker.
Got him.
My wife, Hassan Piker, got him. I wish.
Oof.
I wish I could get my hands on his girthy cock.
You and Hassan, y'all are gay.
Gay.
It's not very girthy.
Y'all are gay together.
That's what he accused me of doing.
It's a 12-incher, but I give it a light 6.
Hassan, he's a lady.
He's gay, and Ethan is gay.
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 Super gay.
Gay.
Who is gay?
Y'all gay together.
Who is gay? I feel gay.
Watching
So who's gay?
Podcast of Ethan Klein just killed my lifespan by 3 years. So we're going to try to make it through this.
Isn't that the thing that the Fresh and Fit dudes say about them all the time, too? It kind of drives home your point that they're really not that different. That they're in a relation. Ab and Preach.
Oh, yeah, they use that as an insult.
Right, they're always saying that these guys are gay, and they
use that genuinely as an insult.
Well, I think that's because Ab and Preach say things like, I'm going to fuck you. And they say it's a little more deep than like, oh, you're just gay. I mean, they did use it against you, I get that. But for Ab and Preach, I mean, I guess they do just use it as an insult, for sure, if they're just calling them gay together. So that's fair. You can call that a little bit of homophobia. But also, Fresh and Fit say some wild shit, like, I'm going to fuck you in the ears. They just say weird shit. So
and they just did it.
And
they got so defensive.
His wife, Hassan Piker, fucking gay.
They literally got so defensive about us comparing them to Fresh and Fit, which is great because I think I struck a nerve.
Yeah, probably. I think that their point might be that you pretend, or you kind of put yourself out there as some kind of an advocate for trans people and gay people, and then you still use like those, like you use gay as a pejorative, I think is their point, which is fucking so base, by the way. Gay, you know?
They're so mean-spirited.
My wife said that she dislikes the guy with the hat.
They literally got so defensive about us comparing them to Fresh and Fit, which is great.
Let's see, who's the guy with the hat?
I think I struck a nerve.
Yeah. They're so mean.
Who's the guy with the hat? Is it Dan, the bald guy?
Spirited.
Yeah, they're nasty. And you know what's kind of interesting? You can stop the timer because this is a sidebar.
Who's the guy with the
hat?
I
learned some lore about ABBA and Fresh and Fit.
Oh.
They used to be homies.
Not true at all. Wow. Just lying at this point. They never used to be homies. They've always had problems, and then they went on the podcast, and then Myron has this really dumb sense of loyalty where, don't be loyal to your spouse or partner, but if a guy talks to you, you have to be their friend forever. You're wrong.
ABBA went on Fresh and Fit, got clouded up by them. They had a high-viewed episode, and they were homies, and they were cool.
None of that is true. The second that he got back, he talked shit about Fresh and Fit because they were fucking idiots. They were never homies. He went on the podcast. Ethan is a fucking moron.
Friends.
What?
And then a month after that, of them being homies and collabing and shit, he put
collabing. He went on the podcast. Ethan's a fucking idiot, dude. Holy shit, dude! You could never possibly see that as a fact. I like that he's probably getting this from Myron when Myron is being an idiot about the way that he presents this information. But he trusts Myron now and his interpretation of the situation, despite the fact that ABBA and Preach were criticizing Fresh and Fit before they even went on, and they continue to do so after. But he takes it as a fact because Myron and Fresh and Fit are very reputable people when it agrees with Ethan. But when it doesn't agree with Ethan, they're just rapists. So I don't really get. What are you talking about? This guy's a fucking moron, dude. It's just so exhausting. He's so either it's intentional or he's just really dumb. Like, you're just lying here. Why? Oh, they used to be homies. I knew they were the same. All black people look the same. That's where those jokes come from, Ethan, because you don't do a good job thinking.
Puts out a video talking shit on Fresh and Fit. And so he snaked him in a sense.
No, he didn't.
He's like, all of a sudden you're homies, and then you just make a video blasting them. Now, of course, they're wrong about everything. But I understand why Myron, who I'm sure doesn't
They're wrong about everything, except for what Myron's saying here. He's probably right about this one, guys. I know how to think.
A lot of friends got really upset when he thought ABBA, who was probably just like one of like his few friends in this world, snaked him. So he's a snake too. Yeah. But you know, I mean, they're right.
Yeah, but then they laughed at Tourette's and young girls getting raped, so.
They didn't laugh at young girls getting raped, Olivia, you fucking moron. Please stop doing that. Please stop pretending. You want to say that they're insensitive? That's perfectly fine, because I didn't like their take on the situation with that girl either, because it boiled down to that girl just kind of coping and saying something as like, fuck him. I wasn't interested in him. He was a loser. And then you guys turned it into sexual assault. But don't say that they laugh at rape. I think that's incredibly disingenuous and shit, especially considering Ethan actively stays away from talking about actual like abusers. I'm never going to let it go the time where Glenn and Cameron, which happened to be somebody that was very popularly criticized in the black manosphere, came out that he was a horrible piece of shit. He raped a 16, 17-year-old girl with the help of their mother. He bragged about it. He talked about how he didn't have like an age of consent for girls as long as they look old enough. He praised Viking rape culture. Horrible person, and I know that you know about them. I know Ethan knows about them because my people popped in to the chat and were saying something about Glenn and Cameron, and I believe Dan acknowledged it. That's what I was told, and they never did anything about it. So stop pretending that you guys even care about sexual assault, because you don't. Ethan doesn't even know what the fuck he's talking about. He's talking about how rich guys with fame shouldn't engage in hookup culture, which is infantilizing of women, saying that women who want to do that, which are called groupies, has been around for a long time, they're too fucking stupid, I guess, to engage in casual sex. Like, you guys don't have the right conversation about sex at all. You're the guys. Ethan's the same person who instantly validated every dumb fucking lie that Trisha Paytas said, and then he's like, oh wait, maybe those aren't true. He doesn't care. He's lazy. Whatever people tell him, he'll accept. As long as his audience is on his side, it doesn't really matter what he says. Stop pushing these like dumb bullshit ideas out of fucking pure patheticness and laziness. You're a loser. This is just like loser shit. That's what it is. No, I'm not going to. Again, I think Olivia's saying how they were laughing at her, and I'm guessing something happened. No, that is not. No, I don't. That is not the proper interpretation. They were generally mocking all of these people's wrong perspectives on that situation. I'm not going to accept that as an answer. I'm just not. I'm tired of like so much like it's so weird how much charitability I'm expected to give like Ethan and the crew when they literally lie constantly or engage in like this laziness. They're net loss to the social narrative. They don't care about anything that they talk about. This whole thing is exhausting. Like, it's fucking pathetic. It's lazy, and it's loser shit. It's pathetic. It's annoying. And every single time they say a word, it's as if we forget the entire past of everything that they said. In this podcast, Ethan was trying to push all the blame onto iDubbbz for saying the N-word when he was like, I love saying the N-word F slur. I love it. It feels so good. Rolls off my tongue. Like, yeah, oh, my fans hated it. He actively lied about how much his fans hated their reception to that video. Like, they're lying constantly. And now I got to be like, oh no, let me be super. Like, at what point does when do I get to stop treating Ethan like a fucking child and giving him the benefit of the doubt on every wrong thing that he says? He does it to himself. Like, why am I expected from my audience to constantly validate this fucking idiot's perspective when he lies constantly? You want to know one of the reasons why people don't believe people who are sexually assaulted? Because of people like Ethan, who says that like everything is sexual assault and doesn't have the right conversation. When young men watch people leverage fake sexual assault allegations like Ethan did, constantly calling a coercive sex, they tune out of the conversation about sexual assault. It is a damaging factor. You can't go around and just call your enemies rapists just because you want to, because it's an LOL funny. Like, that's what it boils down to. It's lazy, it's pathetic, it's loser shit, and it has a negative impact on the social narrative. And I gotta sit here though. But to be fair to Ethan, but to be fair to this, why? How much more fairness do I need to engage in? How many more months do I have to sit here and like fucking twist my brain into a fucking knot to justify the dumb, toxic, harmful, negative shit that Ethan pushes on his podcast? How many times? How often do I have to do that? We're talking about a person, Ethan, whose entire moral center focuses around as long as he's not as bad as Keemstar is, and he is one cut above. They're both shit. And what do you want me to do? Like, that's his entire moral philosophy. As long as I'm not bad as the worst person in the world. It's like, yeah, I'd love to drink. I'd rather drink diarrhea than fucking hard shit is what the point we're at here. That's where we're at, and I got to deal with. Oh, Bob, I don't think you're being fair. Why? Why? What is it? What am I not being fair about? What am I not being fair? It's so boring. It's so boring, dude. It's like fucking crazy. It's exhausting. It's exhausting to come into every single fucking time we talk about Ethan. We got to forget that the past even happened and it can't be brought into context. It's so fucking cringe. It's like in my search to be as fucking unbiased as possible, I'm taking a bias towards Ethan. It's like, Jesus Christ. Fuck. Goblin mode activated. It sucks because you know what I think it is? It's because I want to like Ethan. But it's so hard. Like, this kind of shit's fucking exhausting, dude. It's crazy. It's exhausting. Like he's a condescending dick who doesn't know how to express any thought that he has. He doesn't really give a shit about anything that he talks about. He's not trying to be fair or impartial. He could have just invited them on to have the conversation. He doesn't give a shit about anything. He barely watches the content that he engages with. He was not even watching it this time. He watched it, like, what, once? Like, he still hasn't even watched the videos about Gideon being patronized by Hassan, and he doubles down on Hassan's perspective when he did absolutely. He doesn't care. He's not interested in like a social conversation because he knows his audience doesn't give a shit. And like his foundation is, what do they think? That's it. His audience doesn't hold him accountable. It sucks. Everybody makes mistakes, but like, how many times do you make the same fucking mistake? You know, and even here, they're not watching the full thing. They're not going to watch the second part, I'm assuming. Like, it's just like, why engage in it? Why even talk about it? It's boring. And then it gets frustrating when people weaponize sexual assault. It's fucking horrible. It's tragic. To people who were sexually assaulted, it's so hurtful to them and their experience. And it's like, how much more do I have to, how much more charitable do I have to be? Oh, it's just so dumb. It's just so fucking exhausting. It's just childish behavior. I hate it. And you know, every time I watch Ethan now, I just hate it. You know, I want to like him. When we watched that fucking thing where we talked about Sebastian, I was like, oh, this was cool. I liked this. I want to like him. I don't know why, but I do. But here we are. Here we are. I feel like I'm folding my own fucking moral framework just to like fucking, I don't know. What am I, the fucking Ethan whisperer? You know? Jesus Christ. So, anyway, let's continue the video.
They're still wrong. Always.
On that, they're right.
Yeah,
mean. On the important issues, they're just not that different.
Yeah, she's the loser feminist researcher who spends all her day on Reddit boards and thinks that's research, okay?
Thank you.
Here's my husband, by the way, or wife.
Okay.
Cool. They got us. Yes, sir. Yep. You got me.
You a bitch!
Mm-hmm.
Just for you guys, so you wouldn't have to suffer the same fate. So let's go.
Hey, you liars, you cowards. The thing about them, Babble and Reach, is that when you look at them holistically, I don't think they're that much different than Fresh and Fit. And in some cases worse, because I see them serving as a gateway into this really toxic manosphere, transphobic, misogynistic, women be lying type of thing. They are Fresh and Fit. Did that hit too close to home for you, buddy?
No, it was just so stupid that I don't think that they felt like responding to it because you obviously aren't educated. I'm not even like the biggest fan of Abin. They're all right, but I've had my differences, you know? But like, it's just like, it's dumb. What you're saying is just stupid. That's what the problem is. It's just a stupid thing to say. It's just like a dumb, wrong thing, and it's like exhausting. That's probably why they're looking at you like that, because you're being stupid. And it's like almost not even worth responding to at that point.
Okay.
She basically... Again, what a response. What a fucking poignant. That was, okay. I mean, the commentary they provide is unparalleled. We just described their bad date. And at one point, she said that he lifted up her top to see her breasts.
So now they're talking about the fact that this girl accused Fresh and she was insinuating, heavily implying something extremely inappropriate happened, okay?
Again, I don't think that that's what she was doing, and I'm going to defend that. I think that she was like, she was hurt by the situation because Myron lifted up her shirt and criticized the way that her body looks, and I think that upset her a lot. Like, that would upset anybody. Like, I keep saying, imagine a girl pulled your pants down and looked at your dick and it was like, ew, that's disgusting, or that's small. You know, it's like, I already know. No, but it's hurtful, and I think that entire experience ruined the entire thing. And she looks at it through that lens, and she went on there. It's like, I didn't even like him. I was just trying to debate him because that's what the shit that she was. I'm just trying to be there to debate him. I didn't want to go out and hang out with him at 4 a.m. after I got drunk at a bar and fuck him. I just wanted to debate him more. You know, like a based, right? I think like that's what it came off to me. And then Ethan's the one that asserted that it was sexual assault, and then Ethan continued to double down and say that it was just coercive sex over and over and over and over and over again. And he can't even own that because in his last podcast he's like, I wasn't even really saying that. I was just saying. And then he's like, but well, he can't even like stand on his own perspectives. So
they're trying to say it's not that kind of story. She was just talking about a bad date. That's her story. Let's listen.
Let's check it out.
In this narrative, even though she said, oh, I don't think he did a crime or whatever. Listen, the way you said this story, the way that you guys have framed it, the fact that Ethan keeps implying it, the fact that most of the people in the comments.
It was one time. It was literally one time.
Said that's what he did. We all understand.
No, it wasn't. You on the next podcast again, you said it was coercive sex. I saw that, so you're lying.
What you're framing, okay? You can't say, I didn't say he did that crime.
He's so desperate to believe that, but it's just not true.
There was no framing.
Yeah.
There wasn't really even a crime alleged. It was just, he's an embarrassing loser.
Oh, wow! Hold up, preach.
Classic commentary.
Yeah, well, they're right. To laugh
Do
at you.
people-
What he has to say.
Do people realize? I wonder if do their audience realize that they're just watching two dudes laugh?
Okay.
They're not. They don't say anything.
Preach.
Yo, this is good.
Yeah, I'd rather watch 2 dudes laugh than 2 dudes or 4 dudes lie. 4 dudes and a girl lie. That sounds a little better to me.
This is good.
What's up, Akrello? What's going on, brother?
Again, like, what the fuck? What is this video?
The thrust of the call.
And who's framing when they're titling their video "Fake Me Too" allegations when
That was
no?
It wasn't a Me Too allegation. It was, I went on a pseudo date with this fucking weirdo, and it was a horrible experience.
You have no story.
Yeah, and she never claimed that he did that. She never fucking claimed it.
This is a bad. This is very bad. I think he may have assaulted you. I mean, at this point, did he lead with tongue or no?
All that happened, right?
That was really bad, by the way. Are you going to apologize with tears for that, Ethan?
Is that you?
Did you? I mean, at this point, did he lead with tongue or no?
All that happened, right? Is that you?
Yeah, I don't know why you would ask somebody that you think was sexually assaulted if they led with tongue. That seems like a little weird to me. That seems almost like you don't actually care if that person was assaulted. Hey, you were sexually assaulted? Did they lead with tongue? Like, oh, that's the first question I ask when somebody expresses what I think is a sexual assault experience, is if they led with tongue. Like, that's my #1 thing to do. Like, the jokes are so funny. By the way, guys, I'm going to criticize all your jokes, but it was just last year that I was asking somebody that I thought that was raped, if the guy that raped her led with tongue. Because, you know, I'm a funny guy. I'm just a funny guy. Hey, you were raped? Oh, did they lead with tongue? LOL? Do you even care about what happened? You think that she was assaulted. Okay, do you care? No. Did they lead with tongue? Wow, incredible question to ask somebody. You must be really, you know, when people express something that was so horrible and personal and horrific, from my perspective, the first thing I ask is how some kind of a relevant, intimate detail to the situation, you know, because that wouldn't be triggering to somebody who's sexually assaulted, you know, because it's not common for people who are assaulted to forget some of the aspects of it, but remember like specific details that they hone in on. That could be incredibly triggering, you know. That's the incredible stuff. Yeah.
That was I said there was one time and he framed it as a question, and then they showed the clip of exactly that.
And then you doubled down on it over and over.
They cut
and over
her
and over
saying
again.
no, he didn't do a crime.
Right, and you being like, okay.
No,
but what's
that's not what
also
happened.
interesting is that Myron
doubled down on it.
straight up
No, he didn't.
admitted
No, he didn't.
that he did do this.
He didn't admit that he assaulted her at all. That's the problem. He admitted that the situation happened, but the framing that it was consensual. And if you look at what she says that she never was interested in anything to do with him at all, never sexually interested. And then she was giving him one-word answers in chats and et cetera, et cetera. And then you look at the text messages between the two, and she was like talking to him because she was mutually interested. And even it ruins her credibility because she actively misrepresented the situation. Whether you want to think it's a lie or you think it's a cope, it doesn't really matter. So to sit here, and that's the framing that we operate on, is that she's obviously giving the most negative framing when it seemed like it was a consensual interaction based on her mutual interest, even though she lied about it. And then that's where we're at. So, yeah. You know? I don't know what to tell you.
And I posed them a direct question. I says, what do you call it if somebody goes up to a woman, lifts up their top to expose their breasts without consent? What do you call it?
Yeah, but we don't. But it probably was consensual. Like, we'll never fully know. That's one of the things about weighing in on this type of a topic, right? But based on her framing that nothing bad, based on her framing that she was never interested in, it turning out that to be a lie. The fact that so she was mutually interested and she lied about that. Whether it was a misrepresentation or a cope or whatever. based on the fact that she asked him to pick her up at 4 a.m. after she went to a bar, based on the framing that she wanted him to drive her home afterwards, showing that she wasn't super like uncomfortable or thought that he was a sexual threat. Like, she lied about it based on the fact that he was like, ew, your mouth is disgusting, go over and tell him mouthwash, and then she did to continue kissing him. Based on all these different things, the fact that she went into his bedroom, and there was no expression of some kind of a threat, and again, she was able to leave. The interaction ended like the second that she got uncomfortable because he criticized her arrest. Based on all that, it's very doubtful that a sexual assault. Was it uncomfortable for her? Probably, but being uncomfortable doesn't make something sexual assault. I need you guys to understand that. Not everything can be sexual assault. You know? And so, like, you're applying a narrative which, based on everything we know, is probably not true. And even she says it's not true. So, and like this, her saying she said no to him and continued to kiss her, even though she said it wasn't an assault, is still non-consensual. I understand what she's saying. What she's saying and what he's saying, there's something in the middle. What you're doing is you're pretending everything she's saying is right and everything he's saying is wrong. I read all the text messages that they showed of the two of them together, listen to what she said, listen to what he said. And it's pretty clear that she made up a pretty big narrative. And so if she is telling the truth in some parts, it's her fault, frankly, for lying about a lot of the other aspects of it. It makes her an unreliable witness to the topic. But what we see in the messages, for instance, where she texts her friend and she's like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And everything else that I just said, like, unfortunately, like, it doesn't seem like an unconsensual situation. That's it. And, you know, I don't like Myron. He's a scumbag. He tells women who were raped that they should have picked better men. Unless you think that, like, I'm intentionally sitting here trying to prove his innocence because I love him. What do you think my motivation here is? My motivation is that, like, I don't like it. I don't like disrespecting people who've been sexually assaulted, survivors of assault, by promoting false narratives, because that's dangerous to the conversation, and that's where I'm coming from, right? So what do you think I'm like? Do you think I'm just, maybe you just think I'm dumb? And then I would say, like, why are you engaging with me? Okay, you agree with me? Just okay. I'm just saying, like, I understand that this can be a harsh topic, but, like, this is kind of the reality of what we go into. I would say, like, get more express consent. You should absolutely get explicit express consent. But the reality is that most people who engage in, like, the dating ritual or the sex ritual don't get expressed consent. It's really about how you feel about certain things and, like, oh, going for a move and going for this. And I think things should change, but you can't say that just because we aren't at a point in our society where we are engaging in some kind of explicit consent doesn't make any time that you don't get it sexual assault. Because most interactions don't happen in, like, a, may I please kiss you? I think that they should. You can do it less cringy than that, of course, but you get my point, right?
They will not answer that question.
At one point.
Because it seems like him and her.
What question?
They will not answer that question. Lifts up their top to expose their breasts without consent. What do you call it? They will not answer that question.
At one point.
Because it seems like him and her are on the same page on that moment.
Okay.
Said, that sounds like that might be assault. And she said, no, I don't.
There was one brief moment where she said he lifted up her top.
You didn't say that's assault. You said, that kind of sounds like assault.
I mean, I don't know.
It does kind of sound like.
It's kind of funny because they're like, yeah. But then they're showing that we're right. And then they just laugh.
Not.
And then Myron goes, yeah, it happened. And I made fun of her lopsided titties, too.
Jesus.
Insane.
Like, what?
That's really funny that you laughed there. You think that girl just got assaulted and you're laughing? Guys, you guys are so good on this topic, I think. You definitely should be talking about it more and more.
Again, that clip that they showed, based off of what she described, I don't think it's that big of a stretch for you to ask that question.
He lifted up her shirt and she was very uncomfortable by it.
Does that not sound bad?
He shouldn't have lifted up her shirt. That's fucking crazy.
He didn't dispute that. I asked you guys, what do you call it if somebody lifts up somebody's top to expose their breasts without their permission?
There wasn't really even a crime alleged.
Is that just a joke?
You alleged a crime.
Is she he's entitled to do whatever he wants to her because it's 5 a.m.?
There wasn't really even a crime alleged.
He did lift up her shirt and look at her. Now, if somebody does that without your consent, what is that?
It wasn't a Me Too allegation.
Let's do a rotate. More concerned with 35-year-old.
Yeah, they could have been a little better with explicitly saying you're wrong, but they did it so many times at this point they're just mocking you because you guys are acting so wrong, and that's what they're doing here. You could say it's maybe ineffective, but they're at this point, since they've already said it over and over and over and over again, and they've addressed these thousands and thousands of times over the past year, and you've just refused to acknowledge it. They're just mocking you at this point because it's really not even worth the engagement. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. You guys don't care. There's never going to be a productive conversation with Ethan Klein about any topic. And so, like, that's probably why they deleted the video, because it's like there's never going to be a positive discourse about this. And the fact you doubling down is bad for assault survivors. So they're probably, maybe that's part of it. Maybe they're just like, you know what, this isn't helping. People are just invalidating assault survivors because Ethan's pushing false narratives. So let's just not even talk about it anymore, for the sake of other young people who might be, or people in general who might be assaulted, because Ethan is destroying the conversation about sexual assault. Maybe that's where they're coming from. So.
Irons.
Yeah, being exposed as being kind of cringe. There was no framing. There wasn't really.
It's just kind of cringe, guys.
Insanely dull.
It's just kind of cringe, but also it
Well,
might be great.
This is the last part. This is my last part.
We're like 45 minutes into this.
This is my last part. This is my last part.
Oh, thank God. Okay. Holy fuck.
So they showed all that, and their response is breathtaking. They don't go, what do you call it when somebody lifts your top without your consent? Instead of answering that, they say, see, they did make allegations. That was their point.
They're claiming that
their point is that you guys are unreliable in this situation because you can't interpret basic information and still hadn't watched the podcast. So there's no way that you could actually make an informed decision about this topic. You have intentionally not educated yourself in the entirety of the situation. You've downplayed what you said and you've lied about it. You constantly say that Myron only engages in coercive sex, or you did in your follow-up, and you say, like, I only said it once. You didn't say it once. You've been consistently saying it over and over and over and over and over and over again. Like, you're not reliable in this situation. Nobody can really trust what you have to say, feel, or think, because you don't actually do your due diligence to have a valid reason to think what you do think.
Wasn't anything alleged, or there wasn't any framing, yet in this very podcast, they're still framing it like this man. What do you call it? What does it mean? What does it mean when you lift up someone's shirt without their consent and look at their...
Yeah.
Guys,
why is that silly? Is that so weird?
If this young girl wanted to, it's up to her how she wants to classify it for herself.
Why do they?
What Myron did is he did reach forward and he pulled up her shirt.
He admitted
to sexually.
Yeah, that part is true. That part they agree on, that he reached forward and took up her shirt. That doesn't make it assault, right? That doesn't make it non-consensual. Again, the more productive conversation would be about explicit consent. But
expose her. He did something bad. It's up to her what she wants to classify it as. But it's crazy to kind of insinuate that he should have done it.
It's so interesting.
That's not what they insinuate. And I also think that there's something interesting to be said about the girl classifying her own experience and you guys saying, no, she's wrong about it. Now, you could argue that she has some kind of a survivor's bias, but maybe she just knows what actually happened and she's categorizing it as if it wasn't sexual assault, and you guys constantly asserting that it is. That might be the real toxic thing, that you are infantilizing her specifically by not believing her interpretation of the events that happened. Again, she could be lying, or she could be coping when it comes to that perspective, or maybe that's really what happened and she wasn't sexually assaulted and she's expressing that and you're not listening to her because you need for this narrative to be different from what it actually is. You need to be right about this.
Act like that is so absurd. They're like, yeah, that's obviously not a crime. Like, what the fuck? Did he admit to doing this?
You lift up someone's shirt without their consent and look at their... Guys, if you Google other definitions, that shit fits right under.
Yes! Exactly. Myron he literally admit to doing it.
He did not.
How can they miss the point so hard?
Holy fuck.
You know what? Listen, Ethan, it's fine. I'm not even alleging or trying to frame it that you're some kind of anti...
Okay, so and then here's the N-word compilation where they forced that in to the video.
Cool.
So that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Is everyone okay? Now, return to the question. Why do we think they removed the video? Right, because that is somewhat of a mystery, because it was fairly well received by their audience, despite not despite, it's almost like and coexisting with the incredible amount of anti-Semitism in the comments.
Yeah,
but
the 3 comments we saw that had like 10 likes, one of them 19. That was most of the video, guys. The incredible amount of you're acting like a victim. That's the reality. There is anti-Semitism, and there is anti-Semitism online. You're pretending that it's 50% because you want to play it up because you need to be a victim, and you need to explain their motivations. Their motivations couldn't be that they think that you're toxic to the social narrative. It has to be because they're anti-Semitic and that they secretly they secretly want and support their anti-Semitic audience. That's why they removed the video without saying why, because they want to promote this idea that Ethan is using his magical powers to do this. That's what you're saying. You're trying to promote a conspiracy narrative. Like, you are victimizing yourself. There is anti-Semitism online, but you're not the victim of it in this situation in any real capacity other than some stupid fuck commenters that Ab and Preach don't agree with. And you're making it seem like that's the motivation because you can't engage intelligently. You like to weaponize these different issues. You're just a victim. You need to be the victim. You're the victim of iDubbbz. You're just asking him why he's so comfortable with that word, even though you said those words so much that he was like, you're overusing them. You need to be the victim of all these different situations. You need to lie about everything. You need to be the victim of your own audience when you called out racism in Joey Salads, even though they all agree with you. You have a victim complex. You're a fucking loser. That's what it boils down to. It's fucking crazy.
They're so wanting to distance themselves, re-uploads are being removed. They do not want any of this on the internet.
I'll leave that question up to you to answer.
Which implies to me that they're embarrassed to some capacity of either making fun of my disability, playing sad violin over Olivia, or...
No, they didn't pull mine down.
Basically acknowledging that they did.
I mean, if Abba just asked me to pull it down, I would just remove it myself if that's what they felt. If that's how they feel about it. But at this point, I mean, I'm already reacting to this, so it'd probably be unproductive to even bother doing so. You know?
Assault her? I don't know. Basically acknowledging that they did assault her?
They didn't acknowledge
I don't know.
Okay.
But they are a bunch of fucking losers. They can't even stand behind their own goddamn video. I mean, what morons.
Yeah, they're constantly lying about everything they say, right, Ethan? Just like you don't do that.
So I don't know. What do you, I mean, at first I thought maybe it just got mature rated or something, and then they're like, oh, if we can't make money from it, we'll just remove it. But their intentionally vagueness around why they removed it is very interesting. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts.
People are saying at this point they already referenced why they removed it. I don't know where they did that, but okay. Well, they did to me, but...
All right. No thoughts.
Cool.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. Yeah, that's about it.
I mean, if you're operating with this perspective that there's so much anti-Semitism in the comments, why maybe they got rid of it because they didn't want that anti-Semitism. Maybe they didn't support that, and that's why they actually did it. You don't know, you know. Maybe they're like, yo, 50% of our comments are so anti-Semitic against Ethan. We have to remove this video because we don't want people to continue to be anti-Semitic. Well, how do you know it's not that? Instead of you pushing the idea that they wanted it up there to be anti-Semitic. How's that? You like that?
A poll, okay? And you guys are the... Here is me and my wife, by the way, on our special day.
Aw.
Look how happy we are.
Beautiful.
Are we not entitled to be happy? You know what I mean? Love is love, dude. Here's Reach's response. Isn't that awesome? He's so cool. His commentary is so good. So let's do a poll. Do you guys want to watch me prove that they're anti-Semitic? Yes or no? It's going to be a whole nother 30 minutes of Babble and Reach. Just being up front. If we vote yes, and then there's no complaining, we're just going to embrace it.
Oh, you want your mothers? You want to come give me a kiss? Yabba dabba doo.
It's going to be a whole nother 30 minutes of Babble and Reach. Just being up front. If we vote yes, and then there's no complaining, we're just going to embrace it. And it's very good. I'll tell you guys, it's very good. Okay. I think the video is extremely...
incredible stuff.
Extremely damning. My jaw was kind of aghast.
Aghast.
And Dan, I hate to tell you that yes is winning at this moment. Which did you vote on, Dan?
I created the polls, so I can't vote, but I would definitely know it's not.
It's just the way it is. And they defending Kanye, saying going DEFCON on all Jews.
All right, let's hear it.
That's really good.
And
they're defending Kyrie, whatever his name is, sharing Holocaust denial books.
Now what?
Sure. You guys want to do it again? Because there's passion. There's passion in the comments. The no's are very passionate. The yeses are very passionate. We're absolutely torn on this topic of Babble and Reach. There's a bloodbath in the comments. Okay.
Let's move it.
Chance to win because do you want to see the death? You guys are going to...
Let's see.
But I leave the power in your hands.
Oh my God.
Because it's
soul here.
Why folks don't care about anti-Semitism.
I love how they put
Are they going to talk about it, or are they just going to keep asking people and not talk about it?
Anyone, go to the comment section. Our audience. One thing I do want to show, just to read a few comments.
I guess they didn't want to show
you guys what kind of. Now I'll say this about our audience.
Yeah.
You can go through our videos. Anyone, go to the comment section.
You won't find anti-Semitism.
You will not see racist comments. You will not see homophobic comments. You will not see anti-Semitic, transphobic comments.
That's good.
Our fans,
I like that.
I love.
Cool.
I'm very proud of the community that we have fostered.
Oh, so the chat says no, they don't want to see more of it, and he gets annoying apparently. See, there's okay. He gets annoying.
And we just don't do that shit. But and this was part of my problem. back when I was this enlightened centrist, the comments, you see comments of people saying super racist, homophobic, anti-Semitic shit. And I got to the point, and the Joey Salads one, which they took out of context to say I'm racist, was one of the first times I saw all the comments. I was like, these are the people that watch my videos?
Yeah, all the positive comments that got like a 99% like rate to it. And they're like, wow, these guys are so, my audience is so racist. It's fucking crazy. It's crazy.
Leaving like these insane racist comments.
Crazy, dude.
And that's part of what prompted the change. But they don't have that enlightenment on the video about, quote, anti-Semitism.
I'm ready to get into this. Listen, when it comes to the conversation, because I remember that conversation. I remember listening to Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart is an incredible guy. He's also Jewish. And I loved his take on it. And it definitely had an incredible impact on my take on the situation. Specifically during the start of the Kanye West thing, where he was being anti-Semitic. Where it seems like there were some people that were negatively impacting him that happened to be Jewish. And them being Jewish had nothing to do with them being negative, right? But Kanye interpreted it as such, and he in a wrong way. I watched him. I watched Jon Stewart's take. I watched Lex Freeman take. Who's this? Oh, that is. And because it's a very heavy topic, there is a lot of frustration in the Black community when they look at some of the interactions where they question why there are disproportionate Jewish people in Hollywood and our lawyers and our bankers and all these other things which are toxic stereotypes to promote. And the response is always, you're anti-Semitic, shut up, we don't talk about that. There are explanations for all of this. When it comes to a lot of Jewish people in Hollywood, there used to be I think an Eastern and a Western movie industry in the United States where Jewish people weren't seen as good enough to be part of it. And so they made their own and it just became more popular. When it comes to Jewish people doing a lot of banking, that used to be seen as a dirty job back in the day with the old Romans and stuff. And a lot of Jewish people just became bankers. And how most people just kind of do the job of their parents, especially back then. A lot of these stereotypes were pushed, happened because of people hated Jewish people. So they excluded them and they did their own thing, or they were forced to do particular roles, right? And so you see things like that. And a lot of Black people are like, well, we have a disproportionately high amount of, I guess, Jewish people that are producers or something in some capacity, and they seem to have financial, some kind of financial holding over Black people. It's not because they're Jewish. It's just because that happened, and there's a lot of complicated systemic issues as to why it happened. But there's no conspiracy. Jewish people don't control the world. Things just kind of happened. A lot of it was based on Jewish people getting, oppressed for really thousands of years. I mean, they were slaves that had to build the pyramids and whatnot. But when you tell people, we can't talk about that, you're just being anti-Semitic, instead of just responding, then you're just continuously propagating that. And at the end of the day, that was basically their frustration with the situation, is I just want to be able to talk about it. And that's what and I love Jon Stewart, and he agrees with that general perspective. He promotes the idea of talking about it and answering the questions to not harbor more anti-Semitism. And I love Jon Stewart, so anything that he says goes, okay? But that's the reality. And yeah, some of it might be anti-Semitic, but where does that come from? Does it come from hatred, or does it come from this fear or frustration? And I think it's important to talk about. I think that it's important, because if you don't acknowledge what's going on, you're just going to push people towards a more anti-Semitic idea. And that's why it's important to bring that up. So that's that.
Funky Peanut Music super chatted $4.04.
Nice.
Thank you for being a real person and having reasonable takes.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate that.
You're now my default second monitor content.
Wow. You must have a big old monitor, dude. Because I'm fat. So yeah, that's pretty much what that comes down to. It's because Christians weren't allowed to loan money in certain places in Europe. Yeah, that's part of it. Yeah. I heard about that. That's what I'm talking about, bro. Thank you so much. So yeah, that's where a lot of it comes from. Yeah. So that's it.
Kanye has broken the show business rules, the rules of perception. If they're Black, it's a gang. If they're Italian, it's a mob. But if they're Jewish, it's a coincidence, and you should never speak about it, Dave Chappelle. These company execs are really doing Jewish people a disservice. Public sentiment went from Kanye's wild, Kanye's off his med, to maybe Kanye's got a point. Kanye.
No, not really. That public sentiment didn't really go there, to be honest with you. It definitely went off the rails when he said that Hitler was a nice guy. Then we were like, wow, this guy's a fucking moron. Yeah.
Was punished for what? You can't bully and be the victim. You can't have both. Jews are bullying. The whole premise in this is crazy. Straight like Nazi propaganda.
So, Ethan, if you feel so strongly about this topic, why don't you invite them on to try to change their audience's perspective, since like be an advocate for Jewish people? But, you know, I don't know. I mean, there you go. I don't know. Like,
you guys should watch it. Great point from Abba. This isn't helping to reduce anti-Semitism. It's galvanizing it. 90% of people reacting to Kyrie's outburst. Now, Kyrie shared a documentary about Holocaust denial. It's just straight up anti-Semitism. It's about Jews. Kyrie got canceled. Damn. What did he say? Goes and search for the documentary. Let me see what it's about. Watches it and now supports Kyrie. They're like, yeah, the Holocaust didn't happen. It baffles me how people are trying to silence. And it's so hard. They're just so, it's so fucked up, this video. But okay, go watch it yourself. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm done.
Cool.
Have a good night.
Thank God.
Right. No.
And it opens up the door perfectly to like broader trans issues for a lot of people. It basically gives people like
foot in.
It gives people a foot in, and it gives people the opportunity to say like transphobic shit. Because the ultimate goal, when you actually talk to people who are like, oh, trans people, trans girls should not compete with cis girls or whatever. When you actually talk to them and you like walk them through the steps of like what should be done, then once you have addressed the ethics or the fairness in sports side of the conversation, which, you know, that's equality of outcomes, seems a little bit like that to me.
No, it doesn't. The reality. Okay, listen. The understanding of trans women not competing in sports. And again, no trans person transitions to be good at sports. They just want to live their authentic selves. Unfortunately, cis women won't be able to compete with trans women. I understand everybody has different biological advantages, but just generally speaking, based on all the data we have, people that go through male puberty and then transition after that still have significant advantages to cisgender women, and it will phase cisgender women out of sports. That's just what'll happen. Even if like 95% of the sports have cisgender women in it, the top 5%, all the trans people will rise to the top because they're going to end up having a biological advantage. That doesn't mean they're not women. Trans women are women, but we need to be able to have this nuanced conversation in this topic because it's not fair. That's all it comes down to. It's not transphobic to say. We have to understand that trans women absolutely are women, but there's going to be instances where people need to acknowledge that there needs to be a little bit of nuance. When it comes to sports, you'll phase cisgender women out of sports. That's just a fact. When it comes to dating, it's okay if you don't want to date a trans person. Maybe you have a penis preference. We can have a really deep conversation about potential internalized homophobia of not wanting to date trans people, and I said homophobia intentionally. Because if you're, as a man, if you don't want to date a trans woman, part of you might still perceive them as a man and make you not want to date them. And I think that that's generally like wrong, but it's okay to have that prejudice as long as you don't allow it to be hateful and you think about it. You know, we should work through our prejudices, but as long as you're respectful, say, oh, like, no, thank you. That's fine. You don't need to berate somebody and express to them that you don't think that they're a valid woman, because I think that that is transphobic, but it's okay if you may not want to engage, right? But like the sports thing is very different in particular. That's what it comes down to. So,
which I don't like anyway. Sports are not supposed to be fucking fair. It's supposed to be unfair.
No, they're supposed to be generally fair. That the way we've categorized it is like men and women, right? And since trans women as a whole have an overall advantage to cisgender women as a whole, that's what makes it unfairness.
Did you know that people have more resources and money, get to train with better stuff?
Yeah. Of course. Even that part is not like a full meritocracy. Or Michael Phelps has like a genetic advantage. LeBron James has a genetic advantage. Like, you know, you don't want to stop those people. And if you're considering that like, oh, well, they're taking their genetic advantages, they have the male physiology and are like developing a male body structure before they are transitioning, then okay, that's an advantage, certainly.
Yes, that is.
I just don't consider that to be like, I'm not cynical enough to assume that that is like an unfair advantage.
It is.
Due to some secret underlying cynical reason, like they're doing this because they want to win.
Nobody's doing it because they want to win, but it's still an advantage.
The fucking high school swim meet.
They really think
like
people
you're
are
such a freak
to get an edge on sports.
But people used to say that about gay people all the time. They were like, oh,
gay people never had a biological advantage in sports.
You're just gay for attention. Or like they would always say like, oh, you're gay for attention. You're gay for attention. You're doing this because you want attention. You're doing this because you want benefits. What are these societal benefits of coming out as a gay man? I don't
Higher
fucking know.
levels of suicide.
But like
higher
they would
levels
say
of
that, and my
depression,
answer
a
always
harder
was this. Okay, suck a dick then. If it's just like that easy, then put a dick in your ass.
Oh,
suck a dick, put a dick in your ass, have fun. You know, if that's
Jesus
all
Christ.
it takes,
It's like rotting my brain in real time.
that's like what people are doing it for. Then try it out.
Well, okay. Thank you for the permission and the.
But the same
idea.
goes for like trans people, right? You know what I mean? If it's for a competitive advantage, who the fuck is going to undertake HRT and go through like psych evaluations?
Yeah, I understand conservatives are transphobic and they think that sometimes that's happening, but like still, nobody's transitioning to be better at sports, but that will make you better at sports if you went through male puberty.
For years before
there are interesting protocols for it though. Like if you have transitioned into a male, if you've been on hormones for a certain period of time, it should theoretically eliminate the majority.
It doesn't.
Majority of whatever advantage you had.
He meant from female to male. It doesn't. I'm gonna go find the more plates, more dates video for you guys to watch.
So that's interesting. But the thing about the trans people in sport, it's just not happening. There's not like a just whole roster of trans men. It just
no, there isn't. But trans men won't dominate sports. That's why nobody's talking about trans men. I want to see if I can find the correct one. It was really good. I think it's this one. I think that this one goes into the science of it from More Plates, More Dates. I believe that's the one that goes into the specific science behind it. You guys could go watch it. I'll put it in the description.
Dominating sports. It's just not happening anywhere. But anyway, okay. So
the idea is that if we once we allow trans women into cis women sports, like you won't be able to reverse it, and or like the exclusion of cis women and their ability to get scholarships is going to end up excluding them, right? So, or it's going to end up happening. So, but okay.
I just thought it was really interesting how they engineered that topic, and then all these morons like Ab and Preach are just feeding in. They're opening the door to transphobia, and they love it. Also, they made 30 videos. Did you see the compilation we made? Oh no, not the timer.
That's it. Is that all they talk about?
Did you watch the compilation I made? Where they
the whole thing
140 times?
No, I did not watch it. Why is there a timer on?
Because I'm not allowed to talk about them very much.
We have to put them on a time limit. We set up to kick in a fucking door.
I think.
So if y'all want.
Oh, you want to do it live?
We do it.
Are we done?
How should I send it to you?
The one where there I brought that up on whether they were
Thank you.
All right, we're done. Cool. Good. This topic's so fucking stupid. These people are idiots.